I apologize, sir, for not telling you sooner that you're a degenerate, sadistic old man. And you can go to hell before I apologize to you now or ever again.
Motherfucking goddamn orange peel beef.
What's up, everybody? All right. It's one fucking hour time. That's right. The show where we talk about one goddamn movie, and we have just one fucking hour to do it. It's good to be back here with the show. Of course, I'm Evan Husney. And we got, to my left, we got Miss Rémy Bennett. Rémy, welcome back.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Good evening to you. And to my screen right, we have, as always, the late, great Marcus Herring.
The late. Like 2 minutes late.
Well, you know, the late, great Hannibal Lecter.
Great. Yeah.
It's great to be back with you guys, and it's great to be back covering one movie instead of, like, how many did we do on the last bonus episode?
That's right.
Like, 85 movies or something.
That's right. It's plug time early here for the episode because on the Patreon right now, as we are speaking to you, there is a brand new bonus episode up there for the patrons or the YouTube members. We just did a exhaustive, nearly 2-hour show, I think, where we did sort of our response to the New York Times top 100 films of the 21st century. We went through what each of our individual top 10 films of the 21st century are, and 10 sort of honorable mentions that would be on our list but films that were not on their list. And so it's a cool, I had a lot of fun. It was cool. We kind of went through, it's a good opportunity where if you want to hear about, there's like a lot of gems we highlighted, a lot of deep cuts from the 21st century and a lot of good recs in there if you're looking for recs. So check it out. Yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time. But what are we doing tonight, though? Tonight, we're continuing, of course, our exhaustive, 1 year per episode, per film series, where we started in 1950. About 2 months ago, we started in doing a film from 1950, which, of course, was Sunset Boulevard. Now we've made it to what year is this? 1957? Is that where we are? Wow, okay.
I believe.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So for tonight, for episode 157 of the show, we're doing a film from 57, and it is, very excited about this, Stanley Kubrick's Paths of Glory. Yay! Very excited about this movie. This movie is it's a monster. It's amazing. It's there's a lot to get into. We're going to get into a little bit of the backstory, of course the scenes and the bizarre, interesting folks that sort of collide with this movie, and so on and so forth. So excited to get into that. On the flip side, once the hour is over, we won't go too long, but we do want to give a little reaction to the Oscars. I think people are going to be curious about, the Oscars was yesterday as we're recording this.
Yes.
So we'll get into that a little bit. And I think it's plug time. Again, I'll do it quick because we already pre-plugged. But first off, as you know, as you can see by the censorship above me, I think we are getting maybe some sort of ghost censorship. What is it called, Marcus? Demonetization? Shadow banned.
And demonetized and shadow banned.
I think it's fake news shadow ban because we are, it's been slow growth on the subs. So if you're watching our show and you're not subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. It's the easiest, quickest, free way to support the show. We'd really appreciate that. Because we built a pretty fucking sweet community here. And speaking of that, I got to give a shout out to this. I was out and about buying records this weekend and just flipping through here in New York City, and one of our listeners, viewers, noticed me in the shop, and it was like, holy shit. It was super cool. I won't
amazing.
dox him here, but it was amazing. He's also a patron, and it was awesome to talk to you. Just, we got to set some boundaries on the touching thing, but no, I'm just kidding. But it was it was amazing, super cool.
Speak for yourself.
Exactly. But it was super cool to meet, a 1 fucking hour listener in the wild. So cool. So awesome.
Yeah.
He says he's been with us for a long time. So it's awesome.
That's awesome. Well, record store too. What's up with that? That's like the last time I bumped into some people that watched this show.
Yeah.
I know.
Was there also a record store?
I think
There's some kind of correlation.
I think it's because we got the Gen X demo. I think that's what we're at.
But Marcus,
and-
you have some young dudes, right?
Zennials.
You had Zennials. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
No, the guys I bumped into were a Gen Z.
Okay,
Nice,
sweet.
nice.
All right, so we're good. So our demo is good. Our advertisers will be happy. All right, well, let's just give a quick shout out to where is it? I can never find Bill Maher when I need him. Here we go. All right, everybody, it's time to shout out the 1 fucking hour Patreon. All right, everybody, it's patreon.com/1 fucking hour is where you can sign up for just $5 a month. Best way to support the show. And of course, if you've been sort of late to the party, several episodes ago, we gave an update about our 1 fucking hour brother, Tom Fitzgerald, who is currently on medical leave from the show. And every dollar we collect from the Patreon or YouTube, all of that goes directly to Tom to benefit his recovery process. So we appreciate everybody who signs up and contributes. We have larger plans for a bigger fundraising, perhaps event or thing that we will do. Stay tuned, of course, for that. But for right now, the best way you can support Tom and the show is going to patreon.com/1 fucking hour and signing up there. As I mentioned, we got the new bonus episode up there. You get 24-hour early access to every single episode of the show and our whole archive of bonus material. We got audio commentary tracks, etc., etc. Tons of material there you can check out. Or if you want to keep all your content on YouTube, just scroll underneath this video, find the join button, click that, and become a Momen of the channel. And we appreciate that support nonetheless. Thank you guys very much. All right. You guys ready to get into this? Mm-hmm. Should we
start the clock?
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
We got to hurry this up because it's eating into my watching the comeback time.
Yeah.
Right now. Marcus, have you seen the comeback?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my God.
Has anybody out there seen the comeback starring Lisa Kudrow?
Mm-hmm.
Great show.
Early 2000s.
Great show.
Kind of
Oh, nice.
Mockumentary reality show.
Great show. Season 1.
I'm a fan of Lisa.
She's so good.
It's really good, and there's a new season coming out. Who knows how that'll be? But the OG season 1.
Yeah, we've been going back into
it's really
archives.
fun. So
Oh wow. Okay.
got to get back to that as quickly as we can. But all
So
right,
much to watch. So much to watch. I could just make a career out of watching things that we mention on the show.
I know.
know.
It's very true.
Okay, well, let's see if anyone out there has seen it. All right, here we go. Time to get locked
Give
and
rid of
loaded.
that little cursor. Okay, there you go.
I will. I got to press this button first, and then it'll. See? Okay. All right, here we go. Hang on tight. Here we go. It's 1 fucking hour on Path to Glory. Here we go. All right, everybody. To start things off, of course, I'm going to read a little synopsis on the flick. This is, of course, taken from the Criterion. These are all on Criterion, these movies. Stanley Kubrick's Paths of Glory is among the most powerful anti-war films ever made. A fiery Kirk Douglas stars as a World War I French colonel who goes head-to-head with the Army's ruthless top brass when his men are accused of cowardice after being unable to carry out an impossible mission. This haunting, exquisitely photographed dissection of the military machine in all its absurdity and capacity for dehumanization, a theme Kubrick would continue to explore throughout his career, is assembled with its legendary director's customary precision, from its tense trench warfare sequences to its gripping courtroom climax to its ravaging final scene. There you go. And this is a very heavy film. It's been a minute since I had revisited it, but it's so amazing to see because I am also a pretty big fan of Kubrick's film before this. The Killing is and we considered it heavily when for this series when we were covering all these 50s films. It's a great early work of his, great noir film. I'm sure we'll touch on it a little bit more as we go here. But this movie feels like the real arrival of like a new major talent in the world of film. Like the
It's
killing.
incredible to watch both of the, like to see even just like the worlds that they're set in, kind of stylistically how vastly different those two are, the killing and then this movie.
Totally.
This feels like a huge leap forward, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah,
like, in
Yeah.
filmmaking and for 57, because it feels like a 60s movie.
It does. It does. It does.
And, you know, everything's firing on all cylinders, you know, the camera work, the acting, the sets, the casting, the script, the editing.
Yep.
Everything's so dialed in and feels very fresh
Yep.
compared to everything we've seen so far. And just like really steady hand. And it feels very, you know, he's in command of it. I don't know. It feels like it's on a whole nother level than everything we've been watching up to this
It's
point.
true.
It feels like a breakthrough.
Yeah, and
That's
that's again what's been really interesting about this like experiment we've been doing of like going through, you know, one film per year starting in 1950 and seeing this evolution. I know I kind of mentioned that on every episode, but it's true. And this feels like, as you said, just like, oh my God, this is a whole different, you know, ball of wax here because all of the incredible tracking shots in this film, which I'm sure we're going to talk about, the framing, like just like where he's placing his camera and the compositions, just that alone feels like something like, as you said, it does feel like it'd be straight out of the 60s.
And the efficiency too of the storytelling.
Yes.
Like there's that sense of precision and intention with every scene, every moment. It's perfectly it's like the runtime is perfect. Every moment is, you know, and like obviously Kubrick would be known for that later about his like that kind of precision, but this is just this encapsulates that.
Right. Each scene is essential and leads to the next. And like ratchets up the tension.
Yep. And it still packs a punch. I'm sure we'll talk about the ending, but the ending is man, I mean, the ending also feels like something I don't know, that you would see in like a Herzog movie or something in the 70s, like with that level of poignancy and like and sort of poetic power. It's
so much humanity in this movie. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's just a really beautiful.
Yeah, and it's an incredibly influential movie. I mean, it's no shock that this made a huge impression on Martin Scorsese. You know, as somebody, he's often said about this movie that, you know, he saw it very young. I think he snuck into the movie theater and watched it on its initial run. And then over the years when he saw it, it was something that he really sort of tried to figure out. Because I think a lot of these methods, at least in like, you know, films in North America, like nobody had seen things like this in a movie. And so I think for him, it was like, why are these scenes so powerful? Why are these shots evoking so much emotion and so much immediacy and urgency? Like, what is it about that technique? I need to figure this out. And so he kind of would like deconstruct the movie and sort of figure out, you know, for himself. So I think that, that's the power of this movie. And that's
the fact that it's also set, it was filmed in Munich. As well makes it interesting for like an American filmmaker in this kind of era and time period of the Hollywood films. Like it's set in it almost, what's the director? Max Ophuls? Is that how you say it? German director, right? French? No, French. And Kubrick was like extremely influenced by him and sort of the beautiful black and white, gorgeous, like kind of Baroque quality of the settings. And so it's like interesting because it's like an American director with these very kind of American actors like a Kirk Douglas, but shot in Munich with these gorgeous sort of European Baroque sets. So it elevates the movie in another way that like a lot of American films at that time, it feels out of time, out of place in a very elegant, almost sophisticated way.
Yeah, it's like the earrings of Madame Day.
Yeah, I was watching that today and it's... You can definitely see like the inspiration there. They're just gorgeous, black and white.
The camera movement.
Yeah, just very elegant.
Yeah. Yes, very elegant.
So I think when people saw this, you know, of course they saw The Killing. They knew this guy was, you know, talented, but this is what kind of made him be considered like a wonderkind in Hollywood because he was only 27 or 28 when he shot this movie.
Crazy.
So it was instantly like, whoa, like who the fuck is this guy? Like, so this was like, okay, this might be a little genius level.
Yeah. And of course, like, you know, it's also incredibly sophisticated. Not only, I mean, technically, yes. I mean, he'd always would be known for being the master craftsman when it came to putting a movie together, but also in terms of just how poignant the material is here. And the writing. Obviously it's based on a book. We'll sort of get it. We'll touch on that. but the idea of just the themes of this movie, that's very prescient to this week, actually. To this afternoon.
There's some insane parallel. We're watching like CNN, like live, like what was that insane? Whatever. Press conference. And then like watching this right after, it was like even word for word.
I know.
Certain words being used. I was like, wow. So I think this is a cool movie for people to watch right now because it's incredible. Like with this kind of theme, it is always going to be applicable when we're in times of like war. You know, it's always going to be applicable.
Absolutely. Always. Because, and I want to give a shout out to this because it's really cool. I saw it on YouTube. I'll link it in the description. David Simon, who is the writer, creator of The Wire, has a really cool kind of 15-minute ode to this movie, and he breaks it down in a great way where he talks about the sort of idea of like how any sort of large institution, or any sort of bureaucracy, war machine, however you want to refer to it. That primary objective for that regime is always to preserve that regime, at sort of any point, and especially when any of these regimes are being run, or any of these, institutions are being run without any oversight. This is what you get. You basically get it's focused only on its own self-preservation and self-sustaining over anything else. Of course, above human life, more specifically, and that's what this is. This movie gets to the heart of really the dehumanization aspect of war, and while at the same time unpacking the hubris and the all the other lies and mendancy that keep this whole thing going.
Absurdity,
and the absurdity. Yes.
It's kind of interesting too. Like this, it's 1957, right?
Yeah.
And then we've also got other big anti-war movies from this year, like Bridge Over the River Kwai.
Yeah.
57.
Yep.
Bitter Victory is 1957 also. But this, so it's kind of interesting. The fog of World War II is lifted, and people are, making films that are like critical of war. But then instead of just like a propaganda, people winning battles and stuff. But this movie also is, as much as it's anti-war film, it's like a class film. It's about class warfare as much as anti-war, which I think is also one of the things that makes it like very loaded for today.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think we should definitely dig into that because it's funny because in a few of like the essays and stuff or that I read about it, it mentions that like to say it's anti-war, like kind of how you're saying, Marcus, is almost too simplistic.
Yeah.
Like it's touching on so many other themes about kind of like authority as well and power and like the abuse of power in any context. Like it could apply to any context where someone is in a hierarchy, whether that's social, economic, what power dynamic and how they're abusing that power.
Totally.
And sort of using this shield of like patriotism or status as a weapon kind of thing. So I think, when we talked about also, once again, this is also coming out of the McCarthy era, there's a lot going on in the culture about power and about the people that are the pretense of that. In the same way with Night of the Hunter, with the false prophets in Christianity, and like when, the American flag and suburbia and the American values, and like when that's weaponized, kind of like the danger behind that, and how we can kind of hide behind that, like the flag and a lot. So I think it's interesting because all those themes have been kind of circulating.
Yep.
Can I say one thing about the title?
Sure.
That I found.
Sure.
So
about the poem.
Yes. Yeah. About the poem that Kubrick, I guess, read this book, Paths of Glory, which is by Humphrey Cobbs. It was a 1935 novel about World War I, and Kubrick read it, and the title is "The Paths of Glory Lead But to the Grave," and so the idea that like death is the great equalizer, like no matter what, when we're striving in life for like the status or this fame or the glory or wealth, like it's irrelevant in the face of death. And so I think the movie is also super existential in the way that
it is
talking about mortality and there's human life and death and what it's worth and what we value in that.
Totally. And you hear characters even discussing that fact, about death being the equalizer, for sure. And that's what gives it this, existential, poignant point of view throughout the whole film. So, so just before we get into the movie, because I'd like to get into it, Just a quick touch on, Kubrick. I mean, we've talked about him a lot in the show. Shout out, we've done what? We've done Orange. We've done, we did Shine. We did Shine, Orange, and Eyes. We did Eyes.
Right.
Okay. So now we're doing this one. It's crazy. Kubrick started out as a photographer, which is, you can totally see that sort of lineage here on display in the film. Just a very unique approach. He started as a photographer for Look magazine. And I think he had he had published over like almost 1,000 photographs were published, street style photography stuff. And you could totally see that influence here, especially in the framing during the courtroom scene with some of the guys, as they're giving their testimonies. It's just a very unique way to approach, of course, the doc sort of newsreel realism stuff too.
Yeah.
But it's such a unique way. It's a fresh feeling way to photograph faces and people in this movie that feels like, totally different from the approach of like normal cinematography,
Right. And not just the framing and like the camera movement too, but just like the exposure, and like the way the way it's all lit and stuff, the interiors of some of these rooms and stuff have this like natural lighting feel to them. I don't know exactly how they did it, but we'd see that later on with like Barry Lyndon or whatever too.
Totally.
The way it just looks so different than if you go back and look at some of the earlier films like Pick Up on South Street or something, like where it's like sort of like more of a
studio
TV lighting or
studio light. Yeah, for sure.
For sure. So he works as a photographer. He then gets into filmmaking, basically being self-taught, working very low budget independent projects that I think he got a lot of financing from family, friends, or, from family. And his early films, of course, Fear and Desire, Killer's Kiss, and then of course he'd make The Killing. But what's very interesting about his early work is he's doing so many things. It's like pure, auteurism. He's directing. He's doing all the camera work. He's editing. He's working.
Talk
on
about
sound.
Like ambition and energy and just creative. It's insane.
It's crazy.
Being that young too, like being a teenager working for Look, and then being in your early 20s doing these like incredible movies. It's kind of crazy.
It really is nuts. And of course, The Killing, as we mentioned, was a very well-reviewed film. People looked at it and said, "Oh my God, this is a new talent. This is something very interesting." Yeah. It also, Kirk Douglas, who stars in Paths of Glory, was blown away by it. We'll get to that. But The Killing, sort of very interesting heist film. It was, like I said, well-reviewed, but very sort of poor distribution by United Artists. It didn't get the sort of box office or the lasting power that it deserved. But after that, his producing partner, he'd wanted to make Paths of Glory as the next film. And this is something that's interesting because Kubrick had, as you said, Rémy, with that book, the 1935 novel, he read that when he was a teenager.
Yeah.
So this made that impression on him all those years ago. They pitched the project to MGM after The Killing, but they did not want to, that they weren't into it. But Kirk Douglas was such a huge fan of Stanley's that he brought it to United Artists and basically, said, "I'll star in this and let's do it." And Kirk Douglas's reaction is very interesting to the script because he thought it was brilliant, and he knew Stanley was brilliant, but reading the script was like, "This is amazing." But he also felt like this movie ain't gonna fucking draw a dime,
And that's okay.
And that's okay. It needs to be fucking made. Like he quickly identified the importance of the text.
It can't have a superficial happy ending, Hollywood ending, which is cool.
It's like sort of highlights that this is sort of a collaborative effort between Kirk Douglas and Kubrick, right? Like he had some say on the ending. He helped get the money together. His production company, Bryna Productions, produced it.
And I love that because like Michael Douglas would later do Cuckoo's Nest.
I know.
It's cool that they're like, it's like they had that integrity of like actors who were also storytellers and creators who saw like the value of
this.
Yeah, of making like important work, and Kirk Douglas said like, this is, no matter what happens, how many people see this is a movie that will stand the test of time. Yes. And he considered it like one of the greatest movies he ever acted in.
Also, he made sure his contract said that there was at least one scene where he had a bare chest.
Is that not true? No.
That's true.
Is it? Well,
that's
he has a great.
I love it.
He's got a great bod.
Great little physique going.
I know.
It's pretty weird. This is like only 4 years after 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, too, which feels like very cartoonish. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure it was like a big, maybe it felt differently back then. It probably was terrifying, you know, back then, but he's just got that red and white stripe kind of cartoony look to him. You know?
He's on fire in the 50s. I mean, you know, Kirk Douglas, you know, we were going to mention, or we were obviously going to almost do, or we almost did, Ace in the Hole.
And Bad and the Beautiful.
So like from 51 to, I mean, he's got some bangers in the 50s, and but this movie is just a cut above all those, and you know, in my opinion. But okay, so what's interesting about this is, and I think Kirk too also deserves credit, because from what I've understood, I don't know what's true and what's not, because there's varying accounts of it. But apparently at one time, Stanley was a little, I think he was a little insecure about the ending, because the ending is, you know, you know, I mean, there's a no heroes ending to this movie, you know, in a lot of ways. I mean, you might fantasize that these guys might not get executed in the firing squad, or you might think there might be a moment where he comes in and saves the day, but of course that does not happen. And they were thinking about, at one point, Kubrick allegedly was thinking about tweaking the ending. And Kirk Douglas was so against that. Yeah. He was like, absolutely. What
I had read was originally the script had a happy ending so that they could sell it to United Artists. They did have an ending where they got saved at the end.
I see.
And then once the movie got financed and greenlit, then they changed the script and just didn't run it by United Artists. That's what the producer said.
Okay.
So he was assuming that he sent them the script, but then, you know, knew that they would never read it.
Right.
Then, also that Kirk was like, no.
Yeah, Kirk was like,
we can't do that.
No, which is
this
awesome.
Needs to be legit.
And so this is based, of course, on a real incident. I want to mention that too. In World War I, it's called the Corporals of Suan is what it's called, where French soldiers were executed after basically refusing a suicidal attack, and they wanted to make an example out of them in the same way, you know, Romans would decimate their own legions if they failed an objective. So that's the whole idea here, is that we're making an example out of our own men that we're going to murder.
Decimation, man. Yeah. That's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, that's also like an authoritarianism thing, a fascism thing. I mean, it's really dark. Like,
Yeah, and you know, just in World War I, the situation, you know, with the French army, I think it led to over 8 million military deaths, you know, and many of them were consequences of misguided leadership and commanders who ordered these sort of relentless bombardments and deadly assaults basically across all of this terrain. And what's interesting, as the movie opens and we hear, you know, sort of this music that echoes like a newsreel sort of fanfare off the top, and then you hear this narration that's essentially...
Well, the music, too, is the Marseille, like, French sort of patriotism nationalist song.
Wow.
So it starts...
Perfectly evokes that, but then you hear the narration setting the scene and basically saying that, you know, we're at like this deadlock with all this trench warfare.
By 1916, after 2 grisly years of trench warfare, the battle lines had changed very little.
All these different, you know, like the different armies are, you know, people are only advancing in like small, you know, yard increments, essentially. Like it's a deadlock here in the German-French area here. So,
and there was kind of like a senselessness as well to World War I. Like it was called like the Great War, but ultimately it was, I mean, the amount of bloodshed, the amount of casualties, the amount of people worldwide that died without really understanding actually kind of why and what they were fighting for. And like there's that clarity of the moral clarity of World War II that is sort of absent with World War I. And then you have the Lost Generation.
Yep.
But it was, you know, in a lot of ways, it was a war that was about like a political means, a political tool. And people came to think of World War I as almost like a meaningless war. And so I think this also speaks to that idea of like, what is this? What is the meaning? Like even with this idea of like the stalemate, it's this kind of absurdity at this point.
And of course it's on display too with just the sort of, you know, the highest ranking general, you know, and how this is kind of protecting his reputation and at the expense of, you know, of course, you know, all these men, you know, who are going to war. It's crazy.
And the conversation between, like, should we talk about that conversation between the Scar guy?
Sure, we can.
Sort of how that happens, like.
Sure. We'll get into the movie, and just there's one more person I want to spotlight. Then let's get into the movie. Other sort of interesting person who doesn't get mentioned all the time as an early Kubrick collaborator, and I think this is just fascinating, is Kubrick worked on this script with Jim Thompson, the sort of infamous crime Pulp Fiction writer. He did, help me.
The Killer Inside
Me. The Killer Inside Me, of course. Tons of excellent
cool
stuff. Highly recommend.
Read everything he's ever written.
He's done some incredible stuff. And it's just amazing that those two hit it off,
So cool.
That Jim Thompson and Stanley Kubrick worked on, because Jim Thompson also worked on The Killing, and then of course he was brought into this, and it's just amazing. This really hard-boiled, grizzled guy.
Because Jim Thompson was kind of the cooler of all the, obviously they were all great, but he was definitely writing grittier, weirder,
more violent,
existential stuff about anti-heroes, super violent. A cop who's actually killing people, who's a sociopath. So he was doing some real underbelly type shit. So which is cool.
So it's just really cool that he linked up with him. It's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the movie. So, as I mentioned, the way the movie opens, of course, with that sort of newsreel aesthetic, but then we get into these two generals that they're in this meeting. Of course, we have Moreau, and I can't remember the other guy's name. General Brulard. And General
Brulard
Moreau.
is the Scar guy?
No, Scar is Moreau.
McCready.
Yeah.
McCready, okay.
Yeah, Scar is Moreau. All right, so you have the two generals who are having a meeting, and essentially General Brulard is basically pitching him this idea that we want your battalion to take this anthill that's being occupied by German soldiers. General Moreau knows it's a suicide mission because all of his men are already been beaten down from being there. There's no way to basically do it. It's an unwinnable situation. But then, of course, the general floats the idea, well, if you're able to pull this off, you could be eligible for the top promotion, wink, wink. And so that's when we see Moreau flip. And he was at first sort of saying that he'll do anything for his men. He's responsible for 8,000 men.
The life of one of those soldiers means more to me than all the stars and decorations and honors in France.
Nothing is more sacred and important to him than the lives and safetyhood of those men. But then, of course, that quickly goes out the window once he starts realizing that this is an opportunity for himself to essentially advance up the military ladder.
Exactly.
It's pretty scary, but that's the setup to the whole film.
Yeah.
In terms of someone pursuing their own ambitions and ignoring the question of whether lives are being lost, if that's even something worth anything to anybody.
Yeah.
And then he basically becomes immediately prepared to sacrifice every soldier under his control.
Yeah.
In order to advance his own career, which I'm sure happens every fucking day. In all this stuff. So that's chilling. And then from there, we're introduced to the trenches, and we're introduced with an incredible shot here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know, Marcus, if you want to touch on it. It feels like a Marcus
just those
shot.
long tracking shot, right, from following the general down the lines of the guys.
Well, when they first,
I was going to say the one right before that, which is the shot of the anthill. You see through the window in the trench.
Oh, right.
And it pulls back from that, and then and we're seeing some killer zoom lens action in this film too, which I think also makes it feel 60s to do the zoom lens shit. But it's
those long range, those are like miniatures, right? Like when it's pulling through the window.
I think so.
Right? It reminded me of the California the CA Quintet helping cover a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
No, it's so cool. Yeah, through the little window, I think is a miniature, and I think you see it again later.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's so cool.
The palace, just to kind of talk about too, what the setting, the sort of the dichotomy of the settings, right? Of
course.
You have the opulence of this beautiful, almost chateau, palace setting.
Yep.
And that's where the generals and the higher ups meet. And it's almost looks like Versailles, and then you have this, then we cut to the barracks. And what, Marcus, you
the trenches,
and the trenches and the barracks, and it's the class struggles that we were talking about,
totally,
in terms of power and the injustice in terms of those hierarchies in the war. So I think it's very cool that
and the extreme contrast,
extreme contrast, it's a palace, it's like a gaudy, opulent palace,
which becomes poignant later too, because it's the dichotomy of there's the battlefield out there where people are dying. But then this is the bureaucratic battlefield where all these, the sort of banality of evil lives, where all these decisions of people's lives and the dehumanization is happening there,
Yeah. The bureaucracy of war, like the bureaucracy is where the war actually happens.
Right.
And then the battlefield is where the sacrifice and the reality of the trauma that is sort of hidden away.
Right.
Right. But the generals are all drinking cognac and ballroom dancing.
Yeah. And it is very zone of interest too. Like it has a bit of that. Like, we're in ball gowns. Exactly. It's very little Mar-a-Lago.
People are a little Lago core where people are getting fucking blown up over here, and then we got this over here, and
they're very explicit about it too. Like later in the film, they're like, "We don't actually expect the generals to take the heat for that."
Exactly. So, but going back to what you were saying, Marcus, this tracking shot down the trench.
Yeah, there's a couple, really just mind blowing, eye grabbing tracking shots, down this trench, and the fall. Well, there's two great moments. This with one later one with Kirk Douglas, but this one where they're following George McCready or as he's going down. Yeah. I guess the tracking shot was like pretty much brand new at that time. Like this is one of the first times people were seeing that.
Wow.
And I guess it was so new that Truffaut actually wrote Kubrick a letter to ask if he could use that shot.
Oh my God! Use that exact shot.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
So I think he used it in Jules and Jim when they're like on the bridge.
Oh, on the bridge. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Did a more handheld version of it, and it also got me thinking about Garel, like because there's another tracking shot like during the war, we're kind of like traveling alongside Kirk Douglas for like a long stretch, and that also reminded me of Garel, the other French director,
Philippe
and how he
Garel.
made his for the Inner Scar,
yeah,
and like Le Revelateur, and it basically is just like the whole thing is like, what if we did a whole movie of tracking shots,
Yeah,
so you can totally see the influence.
It's
down the road,
what's so cool about the usage of the tracking shot in this film is obviously like he would become so Kubrick's usage of like the Steadicam in The Shining or whatever. Like, this is that proto Steadicam that's so cool to see.
Yeah, because this is like on a dolly or something, right? So, but yeah, it is really interesting to see. Like by the time because that we freeze up.
You're good.
By the time the Steadicam was developed on The Shining, right? That was the first. So he must have just been like, "Wow, this is what I've always wanted."
Dreamed of.
See that it went back, that it went back this far for him.
So cool how a still photographer, a guy who came from that world, is so interested in the movement of image, not just what you're filming, but the camera itself. It's amazing.
Right.
So what we see is General Moreau is he's going down the line of the trench, but he actually stops off. It's more clear on a second watch. He stops off and talks to each of the soldiers that will later be court-martialed in the film. So Timothy Carey, who we'll talk about momentarily, and of course the other guy, and I can't remember the middle guy's name, but Ralph Meeker. Who's incredible in this movie, by the way.
He's great.
Shout out Ralph Meeker.
From Minneapolis.
That's right. Well, he's from Minneapolis. He's also from Kiss Me Deadly, another film we almost covered. And
he's got a really cool quality about him.
Really is killer in this movie. He's kind of like a Brolin core he's got going on.
He's got that kind of solid, cool, masculine kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Great. Solid guy. He's like the guy you want to be kind of like in the trenches with.
Absolutely. So then...
the other guy is Joseph Turkel.
Right.
Who, he's in Blade Runner. He's like the guy who made the replicant.
That's right.
Oh, that's
right. The guy
and he's fucking he's also in The Shining. He's fucking Lloyd the bartender.
Oh, yes.
That's right. That's Lloyd? I didn't
even
so crazy.
I love the Kubrick universe people. Yeah, it's amazing.
Oh my God.
Timothy Carey
looks like Lou Reed the entire time in this movie.
He kind of does.
Yes, he totally has that look. Yeah.
The eyes.
The eyes with the little kind of
curly. Totally. And Timothy Carey, who I want to talk about once we get a little farther down. Yeah, because he's one of the most fascinating people in this decade. All right, but then we get to this shell-shocked soldier, which is really one of the most upsetting moments of the film.
Also, like the fact this is so ahead of its time.
It is.
This moment, because even the term like PTSD, that was not even a term in medical terms or psychology or mental health. Like that wasn't even a term till years and years. I mean, till quite recently.
Yeah.
So like even the idea of talking about shell shock, this is a theme that is transcended eras where you have the authority figures who are orchestrating the war trying to pretend that trauma and being shell-shocked and PTSD is not real.
Yeah.
That it's that's propaganda, that's not real. And the guy right there is in this complete post-traumatic stress moment. And it's so fucking sad. And then
it's like Private Pile again.
Yes,
totally.
and then right, and then you have Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's like the humanity, and then talking about his wife, and he's remembering his wife, and then it's like then you have those glimpses of fuck.
And the way he's photographed too is very like a way almost a street photographer would photograph him, like just in terms of it being that very stark portrait of him. You know, he is given a lot of humanity in that moment.
And the guys, the general saying like, you know, shell shock doesn't exist.
He's a bit shell-shocked. I beg your pardon, Sergeant. There is no such thing as shell shock.
And he smacks him and he calls him a coward. You know, and it's just the brutality, the total nastiness.
That's something that Patton really did, right? That's like a reference to like what Patton actually did slap a soldier, and there's like a huge scandal over
I didn't know that.
Oh shit,
Makes sense.
There you go.
It's in the movie too, in the 1970 movie they show that.
Oh wow. So then he makes his way to Kirk Douglas's sort of little barrack there. And, you know, but we do hear that, I can't remember if it's at this moment or shortly thereafter, Kirk Douglas is sort of introduced as before the war, he was perhaps the most foremost criminal lawyer in all of France.
Wow, that's cool.
That's setting the stage, but that like he is this incredible lawyer, which we will see. But of course, you know, that court was rigged. You know,
that's what they call like the TV tropes. They call that Chekhov's skill. You know, and like the skills introed earlier in the movie, and you just know like, this is going to come into play later.
Sure, love it. So then, of course, you know, General Moreau, he pitches the idea to Kirk Douglas, and he, you know, obviously has extreme doubts that it's not even going to, you know, there's no way this is going to happen. They're going to lose 65% of his men just so they can.
It's just a suicide.
Total suicide mission. But it's interesting the way that, you know, the general was saying, like, you know, we need you to do this and with express enthusiasm, which is what we just heard on the news a few hours ago, which is very interesting, that exact phrase.
Enthusiasm.
Wow. Enthusiasm. Okay.
Because it's like that idea of like nationalistic loyalty. It's like you don't just go along with it. I want you to have like this nationalistic
enthusiasm.
Verve. Yeah. It's like really fucking demented.
But then we get to this amazing sequence here, this night patrol scene where these guys are going out scouting the sort of getting to lay the land before they make the attack the next day. And we see these three guys, Ralph Meeker being one of them, going out, and it's so cool the way it's photographed of them just sort of like, you know, crawling in the dark and, you know, trying to get as close as they can to the German wire. And great little moment, just very purely cinematic, very eerie, where the Germans, I guess, launched flares into the sky, and those flares like illuminate all of the dead bodies that are already like all around them and stuff. Very cool. But we get to this wild sequence where the dude, who's I guess the higher ranking of the three, he's drunk essentially, and he's been drinking, and he sees one of the guys go off ahead of him, and he's like, well, he's not coming back, and he kind of flips out, and so he throws a fucking grenade, friendly fire shit, and kills that guy, right? And you see this quick shot of this like smoldering body of their fellow soldier. That's a little fucking freaky too.
Yeah.
You know? It's like,
I love.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I just love the way the whole scene looks, just the way that they lit the nighttime and stuff, and feeling the earth. But yeah, that is really impactful and scary. Like it's
really
almost like
scary.
Star Wars when like
Aunt Beru's, smoldering corpse,
smoldering,
and it's just like, but it's that's very like shocking to see in a movie at this time period. I feel like,
but it is, it's very beautiful, like you were saying, Marcus. Even the kind of wider shot of them like crawling, almost like weird insects, and there's like the fog, and it feels like there's some other influences too, maybe like Japanese filmmaking. There's just there's stuff in there that's definitely like stylistic and
I mean
very beautiful.
I'm sure there's like Soviet cinema too around this time that you know is inspiring maybe those camera moves or thinking outside the box. Perhaps I don't know if that's true, but it could be.
I wanted to mention too, just real quick, like the conversation between Kirk Douglas and the General Dax, like the patriotism quote that he says quick. He's like he's
Samuel Johnson.
Yeah, he
quote.
says Samuel Johnson on patriotism. It's the last refuge of a scoundrel, and so I think that's just like so important that that's like actually said. In the dialogue. And the idea that like we were saying before, that like patriotism by those actually who have moral cowardice is often used as a mask for that sort of moral cowardice.
Right.
And so moral cowardice is like something we'll see even with this character who throws a grenade and runs, or with the generals who have moral cowardice as opposed to what they're claiming cowardice is.
That's the irony of all of it, because when Ralph Meeker comes back and he actually confronts his lieutenant about what happened, like, you killed that fucking dude, of course, Meeker's the one sort of he's accusing him of having cowardice in the line of duty, and of course the irony that'll be completely flipped on him, as of course the games that his lieutenant will play, and how then he becomes the sacrifice,
and then that dude is like speaking the utter truth, even though that guy's his like quote unquote superior. He's like only a less than a man would do something like that, like only some disgusting booze ridden freak. And then the other guy tries to pull rank, saying like, you're being a subordinate and you can't talk to me like that. And it's and it's just that whole idea of like this ridiculous structure, these hierarchies, and it's complete bullshit basically.
So then we're getting to the final moments before, like the night before they're going to attack. There's a quick little, that existential sort of scene I was mentioning to you, where the two soldiers talk about like they're not afraid of dying, but they're afraid of being killed, and pain, and what it's going to be like. Are you going to get blown up? Are you going to get stabbed with a bayonet? It doesn't matter, it does matter, but that's what we're really afraid of, is how we're going to die, not that we're going to die.
And dying.
That's
not
scary.
dying, but the pain of it,
And just seeing these two men sort of like wrestle with these ideas of life and death, and what is that? How are we even put in that position that we have to think in these terms?
I love all these little vignettes where you get to know the characters a little bit too. Like you don't know too much about them, but you get to know them as people, as like kind of full-fledged characters. And you get to spend the right amount of time with them too.
Little idiosyncrasies of each person, but you really it's very clear who they are.
It also it's a brilliant touch too, because it does put the audience in that mindset, because it's you're, as an audience member, you're thinking about what would you do in that situation. I mean, we all think about that, and for us to be thinking about that sort of like death and how you would die in this circumstance, I think helps you later on to identify with the absurdity of all of this. Not that it would be hard to otherwise, but it puts you in that mindset, which I think is smart to put in that moment.
Because so often it's like irrational, war
movies.
War is irrational.
Yeah.
And then you're having to sort of grapple with these ideas.
Totally. Because it's
humanity in the face of something that's so irrational.
It's in a far off country, out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. And then here it is, where this is what you're really grappling with, right? So then here's that excellent tracking shot, the sort of the money tracking shot, is the morning of, where we're seeing all the soldiers, with their backs up against the trench, the camera's going down, everyone's covered in that debris from the bombs are going off. And this really feels like a whole new evolutionary step in cinema, as we mentioned. It feels like it evokes the realness of war photography. Even though it's this very cinematic move, but it's just the looks on everybody's face, that sort of documentary like realness that it gives, that like sort of gritty authenticity. Wow.
There's so many people.
It
almost feels like using extras and cast as like as the scenery, as the set.
Yeah. And it's just epic. It's just mesmerizing.
Because the scale of the casualties is so epic in the same way, like, in the first scene in Saving Private Ryan or something, like the whole point of that is to show how colossal the casualties were,
and how horrifying they are too.
Horrifying.
Yeah. So Douglas walking down the line, there's all the heavy fire and explosions happening. Then they start to charge, and everyone runs out, and we're pushing into these dust clouds. It looks amazing, and again, more epic tracking shots with zoom lenses, which I love, which gives it this mixture between a very formal cinematic move, but also the zoom lens gives it that newsreel doc feel, which is really cool. So it's kind of a hybrid of the two. because it's shaky zoom lens, which makes
it feels like journalistic photography.
And it's amazing. It's so cool. I love it. It's a mesmerizing sequence. Everyone running out, people dying, they have of course like dummy bodies exploding. It's just epic. But
and you see certain maimed people coming down at certain points.
Yep.
And,
Yep.
Yeah, it does. It sort of delivers on the action scene that the poster promises.
Absolutely. I mean, really. This is the most mesmerizing battle scene I think up to that point. It has to be.
And you don't see the Germans at all.
No,
you just see from our point of view,
which is a great touch. It's a great touch.
Yeah, like a faceless enemy because there was no face. It was like a bunch of these. Rich, lofty, powerful guys playing a game of Risk, playing a game of chess.
Human
and then
chess,
yeah.
Right. To show them what to overcomplicate it, because the struggle here is within your own army. It's not you against
yourself.
The struggle of the movie.
Yourself, right? Yeah. So then we basically see that the other battalion is not advancing because they see that this is a complete suicide mission. So Kirk heroically runs all the way back to the trench from no man's land, and he runs all the way back there and tries to motivate everybody, tries to inspire everybody to charge. And he blows the whistle, and he's doing the Kirk Douglas crazy thing. And then he it's a great little touch. He's like ready, all right, boys, let's charge. He runs up the ladder, and of course, as soon as he gets to the ladder, a dead body just falls on him. And it's crazy. And then we cut to Moreau, General Moreau, and then he's so upset by what he's seeing, because he knows this is not turning out well, that he demands that that they fire, on their own battalion, that they change all the coordinates
crazy.
to fire on their own troops as punishment for not moving, which is fucked.
Scary shit.
Super scary. Yeah, and of course this will play later in the film, but the guy who's calling in that operation is refusing to do it, and so this then has General Moreau to basically demand that there's a court-martial for this cowardice.
If those little sweethearts won't face German bullets, they'll face French ones.
And shall it be penalty of death for this cowardice? Now, this is the scene I'm guessing you're talking about, because this is really where it's laid all out. Where the next day after this, it's a sit down with the generals and of course Dax, Kirk Douglas, and you see this is the machinations, this is the negotiations of how they're going to
institution behind the warfare.
Yeah, and it's the total banality of what do you want to do? You want to kill 100 men? You want to kill 1,000 people? Of your own men,
your own men,
to make an example out of them. That's the whole idea. Is that we're going to make an example so all these shell-shocked, traumatized people know what's in store for them if they don't fucking run headlong into suicide.
Like, how do you make people subordinate? How do you create the climate of absolute fear that you have a subordinate kind of class? And so that's the technique, and it's just the most disgusting, dehumanizing thing.
Yeah, and what does Moreau say? He's like, they have skim milk in their veins, or whatever.
They've skim milk in their veins instead of blood.
Well, it's the reddest milk I've ever seen.
Yeah. And they decide that what they're going to do is choose one person at random from each battalion or whatever squad, and that's draw straws. And whoever draws the straw in their battalion, you're going to get fucking executed by firing squad. Of course, there'll be a quote-unquote trial, but really how we're going to settle this and everyone can go about their day is by killing one person at random from each of their own squads.
Right.
And so that's what happens. And it's interesting that you do see Kirk Douglas. He's amazing in this scene. He's just like, why not slaughter each of them? I'm being serious.
Why not shoot the entire regiment? I'm perfectly serious.
Well, now, Colonel,
why not just let's just kill them all then,
And then he offers to sacrifice himself, doesn't he?
He offers himself. He says, why not me? I'll do it. Just kill me, and which is pretty noble and pretty amazing that he does that. But it's a chilling sequence to watch back. No doubt about that.
Side note, that guy that plays Brulard, whatever, the sort of major, the top general.
Yeah.
He was he was a silent star back in the day, and then sort of faded now.
Adolphe Menjou.
Yes, but he was like a reactionary political guy that supported the blacklist and stuff.
Whoa.
Oh, really?
He was like an extreme right winger. Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't he try to out like Charlie Chaplin or something? I heard.
Oh, wow.
There's a rumor
Holy
about
shit.
That. Yeah.
Wow.
That's so interesting.
Oh,
So
wow.
he was method acting, or
Wow.
he was,
That's
or maybe
crazy.
it was method casting.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's crazy. So, really quickly now, then we cut to the three that have been chosen. Again, the same that we saw earlier on in the film as the general was going down the trenches. And Dax is going to meet with them to basically say, like, okay, guys, like, this is your new fate, and you have to accept it, and this is what's going to happen. We have to figure out how to save your lives in the process of the court. And I think it's like Corporal Farrell, who is played by Timothy Carey. We'll make this short, but
Impossible.
One of the most fascinating, weird, eccentric people in all of Hollywood of the 1950s. Just known for his not only just his unique performances. He's in The Killing. He makes an indelible impression in The Killing. He's unforgettable in that movie.
Really cool performance.
Weird face, weird acting style. He's doing lots of weird eye movements. You can see it on display in this movie. He likes to get weird and funky in his performances. And he drove everybody nuts. Everyone hated him. I think Kirk Douglas hated working with him because he was so erratic and crazy on set.
He eventually got fired.
Well, from this movie?
I believe so.
Okay, well, maybe some
Sort of
shit.
a scene stealer and then trying to get attention all the time. And
There
then,
you go.
You know,
Crazy stuff.
Know your spot.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah. Go
He
ahead.
pretended to be kidnapped, supposedly. I read in one article.
Yeah.
Well, it's insane.
Yeah, further
he had
reading.
some big fans. Like Coppola was tried to put him in The Godfather, you know, as Luca Brasi. Quentin Tarantino tried to cast him in Reservoir Dogs.
Oh, wow.
But he was like too hot to handle. He was too wild.
Yeah.
Too wild.
He's a cult icon. He's been in Cassavetes movies, of course. I think Kubrick met with him when he was preparing Dr. Strangelove and thought that it would be great for Timothy Carey to be the guy riding the bomb at the end. But he was too insane, so he got slim pickings for it.
Supposedly discovered Frank Zappa.
That's right.
Right.
Timothy Carey directed a film called The World's Greatest Sinner, which is an underground classic from '62. And Frank Zappa does the music to that movie, which is incredible. And
it's a wild movie. It's like rock and roll and politics, and it's like a guy, an insurance salesman, becomes a politician and goes by the name of God, and he's making out with grandmas, and he's smacking his kids around, and he's stealing Holy Communion, and
it's nuts.
Lots of learning how to play guitar.
Yes,
all kinds of wild stuff.
And he became infamous for his love of flatulence.
Yes.
And he was all
fucking
he was very pro public flatulence because he thought that what we're holding in is killing us. He was
farting so much on set that like it was just like he was alienating everybody. But this was like a litmus test for him. It's like if you can deal with my flatulence, like you're cool. You know?
I won't even say that word. Yeah,
he said like that was one of the ways to show if you're a good actor or not, is if you could fart in public.
Oh my God.
Right. So,
anyway, I think that but I do think it's cool that he was. I think it's really cool. Kubrick kind of caught on to this guy because he had that character actor quality. He was also a method actor, but he was also a method character actor. So he wasn't like the method leading man guy, but he really brought that weird texture. And for this character, he's supposed to be. But what is it that he's?
Well, he says that he was picked not because all the other guys drew straws. Well, one guy drew a straw, got the guy from Blade Runner drew a straw.
Yeah.
Then Timothy Carey was picked because he was a quote social undesirable.
I was just picked because Captain Sancy said I was a social undesirable. Me.
Right. Which speaks to that class thing.
There you go. Perfect.
And then Ralph Meeker, we all know, was sort of a setup because he really knew what happened with the grenade earlier in the film.
Right. With that buffoonish, superior of his who killed the other guy. So it's like, the guy is basically trying to cover his ass and his own buffoonery by throwing this guy under the bus and getting him killed.
Yeah. But Lieutenant Roger killed Lejeune on that patrol and then blackmailed me into keeping quiet about the whole thing. That's why he picked me.
So you have these three kind of characters who are the fall guys, basically.
Yeah, right. So then we get into this, charade of a court proceeding here. Awesome that you're seeing this sort of palatial Baroque high ceilings as the backdrop to this. Cool. Really amazing. Great sort of symmetrical photography here too, especially, you know, when each of the privates, the guys are up there sort of testifying. It looks, as I mentioned earlier, amazing. And this is where we can see that everything's stacked against these guys. Yeah. This is inevitable. There's no point in going through this.
The injustice, the hypocrisy, the absurdity, and I was thinking of also of like the Kafka, you know, the trial. Yep. A little bit like Catch-22, Alice Through the Looking Glass. You know, when she's on trial with the Red Queen and all that. It's like the idea of like it doesn't make sense. None of this makes logical sense. Yep. But there's like. There's something just so utterly frustrating about that.
Right. Everyone is participating in it too. Yeah. Even Dax is like participating in the system, even though he knows it's wrong and it's unjust.
From a sort of class point of view, or from just a power hierarchical view, he's like middle management in this, you know, where he can. What's interesting about that too, and David Simon said the same thing. It's like he can look up and down, you know, in this structure. And of course, you know, he gives this impassioned speech about if you find these men guilty, this will haunt each and every one of you until the day you die. And that,
because this is like a kangaroo court, you know, it's like this back to the authoritarianism thing. It's like a sham of what like human justice looks like.
Exactly. You know? So then we get to the scene where the guys are seen in jail and they're there. Another great existential moment when, you know, Meeker says, see that cockroach, it'll have more contact with my wife and child than I will. I'll be nothing and this thing will be alive. Great little moment there. Of course, Timothy Carey then smashes out the cockroach. The father comes in to tell them the bad news. They're being
I love that too, like the hypocrisy of religion in that moment where he's like, you will be saved. And the guy fucking flips out. He's like, we won't be saved. Actually, that's bullshit. We're not going to be, we're about to get executed. Like, you know, like even God, what does God have to do with this? Because there's no justice here, you know, like the morality, we've been completely stripped of any sense of good, you know, in this system,
Right. And then he gets
that's one of the other tools they use to make people comply. Right?
Yes.
Like the religion and the hope for like that they're going to live in the next life. You know,
this like subservience, like lulling them into the subservience of like, it's all going to be right in the next world. It's like, no, this is not.
And so then what happens is, you know, that dude gets punched the fuck out. Right. And, and it's pretty intense the way that's staged too. It's like, whoa. The action behind that dude getting punched in the face is pretty gnarly by Ralph Meeker. And so then what we see is the inevitable. This is going to happen. They've been found guilty. It even happens off screen. You hear it through exposition, like, yep, they're going to be guilty and we're going to kill them later today. And it's like, Jesus Christ. But then Kirk Douglas gets a little bit of information, a little intel that might change some things. So as a viewer, you have some hope that at the last minute something can happen. But of course, it doesn't go that way. And he goes to sit down and meet with the colonel, that Brulard guy, and he sits there and he basically tells him that that Moreau had ordered this, basically that he had ordered this attack on his own battalion once he was so frustrated that he was going to lose this battle. And that then gets into, we think, what's going to help save all them, but of course it doesn't. And he just goes to explain, look, you know, these executions, we have to have them because they're going to help your battalion. You have to discipline your men, you know, and you have to shoot some of them every once in a while, is basically what he says.
Right. Yeah. And one way to maintain discipline is to shoot a man now and then.
Which is insane.
To keep them in line. To keep them,
Yes.
Right.
And so
that's one of the reasons he gives. The other one, it's like, you know, like, well, you don't expect the generals to like take responsibility.
Yeah, there's
they're literally the scapegoats.
Working them from a few angles.
Yeah. Right, because there's politicians to answer to, there's the press to answer to, so that's also a pressure.
And who are we protecting? We're going to protect the people in power.
Yes.
And it's all about, like we said before, like ascension within these power structures and doing anything to like maintain that clout and kind of climb the ladder. And we'll do anything. Yeah. Like kill people, sacrifice people, go against all of our moral standing to rise in that system. Yeah.
So then we have the scene where they're walking out to the firing, you know, posts, so they're going to be tied to and be shot and killed. And it's a brutal scene. I mean, they're walking out there, they're tying him to the posts. The guy who's completely incapacitated from being knocked the fuck out, they just prop up his fucking gurney and tie him to the post. He's not even conscious, which is so beyond inhumane on multiple levels. And then, of course, the irony of it being that one lieutenant who, killed the other guy with the grenade earlier in the film is the guy that's going to be carrying out the executions. Dax made him do it. He didn't want to do it because he knew that he's fucking, he's a coward. He's the fucking coward. But now he's going to have to go out there and shoot his own comrades. It's crazy. And he even says to Ralph Meeker, "I'm sorry." And it's like this totally heartbreaking moment where Meeker's reaction to that is so perfectly acted.
This also kind of brings into focus the question of when is murder justified? When is violence on this level justified on an institutional level? Because this could be the death penalty. This could be any war. Like is this
certainly
ever justified?
No, and certainly not in this instance.
Right. It just puts it really into focus.
Yeah.
Meeker's so great. He does so much with just a little looks here and there throughout the movie. There's so many times he just,
he's kind of the MVP.
Steals the scene with a glance.
Yeah, he really does. And so then they fucking shoot these guys. And as harrowing as it is, shout out to the amazing composition where the camera's at the center of the frame with all the rifles coming into the frame, on the sides. Really incredible composition, super modern composition. It's great. And this is what happens. Dax isn't the hero. He's not saving the day. He's actually ineffective. The machine wins. There's no big courtroom moment. There's no big acting moment or monologue that saves the day. The machine wins, and that's really grisly. But what survives is the humanity. And that's what's amazing in terms of how it's captured in this final moment, where you see this, I'm assuming, captured German woman comes out on stage, and they sort of all the army dudes are there in this bar. And they're looking pretty lascivious, we don't know where this is going to go. They're chomping at the bit. They're forcing her to sing, and it's really depressing and harrowing.
Yeah.
And then she starts to sing, and they're hooting and hollering and whistling. But then just the beauty of her voice and the tears of her own sadness.
And the song itself, I was researching a bit about the lyrics, and it's about the idea of a man leaving the woman he loves and going back and missing his family and having to go for. And so all of a sudden, when she's singing these words, the men are hearing this and remembering their wives and their families, and all of a sudden it's all of this bullshit about being these brave soldiers and macho bullshit. It's all stripped away, and they remember their humanity and the people they loved,
and they're still human.
It's also a song that everyone knows too. It's it's kind of on the level of a Johnny Comes Marching Home,
a folk song almost.
Yeah, that everyone would know it from that area.
And because the whole idea of this institution of terror, the war machine, the whole idea is to dehumanize everybody. You're dehumanizing the opponent, you're dehumanizing yourself so that you can commit murder. And then this is all about this moment is humanizing everyone.
It's a fucking fantastic moment, and the way it's photographed with the zooming in on all the crying soldiers, unbelievable. The one argument you could make for a heroic moment that Dax does get is in the scene prior to this when he turns down General Bureau or whatever, his offer to succeed General Moreau.
Yeah, to ascend in the system.
He's like, here, you want the job?
His ambition.
Yes.
He's going to reward him for
everyone is so
betraying
cynical.
his superior officer.
Yeah, but everyone is so cynical in this world that he thought that it was some kind of ploy to gain more power.
I like your spunk.
Yeah. Yes, but no, he turns him down. I'm not your boy. And that's when he goes out and he witnesses that beautiful set piece in the bar. But then it's okay, General, we got to get back to the front lines now. And that's how we're being left in here. And then he just says, Dax says,
I'll give the men a few minutes more, Sergeant. Yes, sir.
It's super well written, great moment. Just says, give the boys a few more minutes. Yeah. And that's what he can do for them. He can't save the day, but he can do that.
It does end on a beautiful note. It's so bittersweet and so sad and melancholy, but the note that it ends on is this sense of shared humanity. No matter how much they try to dehumanize, that is going to come through, and that's what comes through.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God. Woo! Whew. Right in the nick of time.
I know. It's
right in the nick of time.
Such a heavy one, man. Paths of Glory is, it's
very succinct and compact. It's an easy, accessible watch that really packs a huge emotional.
Super rewarding film. So glad we did it. That's 1 fucking hour in Paths of Glory, y'all. If you haven't seen it in a while, if you've never seen it, please just go check it out. It's really It's one of the more impressive films of this
it's the least 50s of everything we've watched.
Everything
so far.
Agreed.
And also, if you're looking for kind of like something in an anti-war vein, like this is more of the kind of very humanistic melancholy. There's another movie called The Bridge that's incredible. That's a year after this. It's a German-Austrian movie about like young teenage boys and kind of the same thing, like the irrationality and banality of war. And those movies are a really good like companion piece together. But yeah.
Right on.
Little recommendation.
Yeah, man. Definitely one of the just I feel like it's I guess I would kind of call it underrated in terms of the Kubrick, like as a Kubrick film, because you hear about all the others so much, and this one
Too
really
much,
is.
some would say.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure. Yeah. This movie is really special. So
and also
where does Room 314 documentary fall on this?
Room 237.
What's the Room 237 theory?
What's it all mean?
Oh God!
What's it all mean?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ! We just told you.
But
go ahead.
yeah,
Sorry.
but also Full Metal Jacket, like Marcus, you had mentioned before, like it's you know, there's definitely themes that he is interested in that are coming up.
I mean, just to imagine that he made this movie in 57. We're cheating. He makes this movie in 57, and then he gets to like see the Vietnam War happen.
I know, that's so fascinating.
Like fuck.
To do this like in the middle, like after World War II, before Vietnam,
Jeez.
all these themes are so prescient, and then you have that fucking war.
Right.
That's like, why are we in this war?
Yeah.
That's right. And that was the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
And not to mention all the other wars that would come after that.
This week.
Oh my Lord.
So anyway,
Jesus.
insane.
But I'm really happy to like, I think it was important like to focus on the institution of war. And I think that's something that's very prescient now that I'm glad that this movie tackles. Because a lot of times we're seeing just like the brutality of war, like it's
body parts.
It's violence and body parts and it's all a mess. But it's like, no, this is about like the very sterile machinations.
Well, what do you want to do? You want to kill 100 people of your own people, or you want to kill 1,200?
And that's what's really going on.
Yeah.
That's the scariest shit that's going on behind the scenes. And a lot of movies don't actually really, like the Vietnam movies don't capture that.
Right.
They're just kind of like, we're, Charlie.
Well, that is sort of like Eyes Wide Shut in a way, like showing like these different echelons of society that are like off, making decisions that affect the rest.
Eyes Wide Shut was Epstein, and this one is Hegseth. If you're
there's a lot of Hegseth in here with the drunken buffoon.
I know this is Hegseth
throwing the grenade. It's like,
you want to see. So Hegseth core, Epstein
Department
core,
of War.
He's got
whatever.
it. Yeah, maybe that is the meaning of all this. He predicted it all. Okay. Just kidding.
Oh, that's the conspiracy.
There it is. All right.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, so there we go. That was 1 fucking hour on Paths of Glory. Let's talk about next week real quick. Yeah, on Paths. Next week is 1958. Now, I have to admit, too, 57, just real quick, I wanted to give a shout out because I saw a lot of people talking about this. They were excited we were picking Paths of Glory, but there was a lot of fervor for Sweet Smell of Success. Just want to address for the record, I'm a huge fan. I love Sweet Smell of Success.
Yeah.
It was really hard to pick between Paths of Glory and Sweet Smell. And if you've not seen Sweet Smell of Success, it's absolutely phenomenal movie. But this, of course, Paths of Glory just felt like super urgent to cover, and I'm so glad we did. But it was really tough.
Yeah. It was good to rewatch it too.
Yeah. So but now 58 presents us with a challenge as well because it's a monster year. There's some big classics that came out in 58. So here we are. We're going to do it. This is it. This will be our first poll because you know what? We love polls.
I love polls.
Here. So this will be the first Instagram poll. So you guys are going to be able to vote on the next week's film. We're going to give you 4 options. And if you are listening to this on YouTube or on podcast apps, within the first 24 hours of this airing, if you're listening to it the day that it airs publicly, not you patrons, but the public, you can go right now to our Instagram at 1 fucking hour, click the stories, and you should see the opportunity there to vote on what next week's film is going to be. So here's your 4 options because we're going to leave it in your hands. Here's the big monster, obvious one. Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo is one of the options. So If you want to hear us go to town on Vertigo, you can pick that. Of course, we haven't done a Hitchcock yet, right? As part of this? No, we have not. Not as part of this, but we've done other. Yeah. We've done The Birds, right? We didn't do.
Didn't you do The Birds?
Yeah, we did The Birds.
But
we did Birdemic.
We did a weird version of The Birds. But have we done any other Hitchcock films? I don't know.
Well, we did Psycho. We addressed it kind of through the remake,
right? So this is, we didn't do Rear Window, so this would be like a big Hitchcock opportunity for you Hitchcock fans. Yeah, that's option number one. Option number two, I have a feeling it's going to be neck and neck between these two movies. Another often requested movie for this series. People really wanted us to cover Orson Welles' A Touch of Evil. Touch of Evil is option number two. So if you want to get Orson core, then do that. Option number three, I know everybody wants us to cover a Kurosawa film. I feel like Kurosawa is on fire around this time period, and this is one of the more interesting ones. Again, the blueprint for Star Wars. So Marcus gets another Star Wars little Star Wars hack episode.
Thank God.
Yep. Little bite of the Star Wars apple there with The Hidden Fortress from 1958, Kurosawa's film. Very interesting film. Cool. So that could be an option. And then, again, we haven't done a foreign flick yet as part of this series, so here's your chance.
Wow.
Option number 4 is going to be Mon Oncle.
Teenage Caveman.
Oh, Teenage Caveman.
Oh.
Not that. No, it's going to be Mon Oncle. Mon Oncle. How do I say that, Marcus?
Mon Oncle.
Mon Oncle.
Mon Oncle.
It is Mon Oncle.
Mon Oncle, which is bless you, which is Jacques Tati's film from 1958, of course. Sorry to the guy in the comments who's getting more and more aggressive as days go on. I don't know if you guys have you been following
the Lynch guy?
our Lynch man.
Guys, we didn't make a single Lynch reference in this episode.
Oh, you know what that is? That's
total fucking bullshit.
He might be happy. He
might be happy. He's very upset because, and it might not be a he. I'm just, it could be anybody.
Yeah, maybe it's not a he.
You don't know, but he's very mad. He or she is very mad because he thinks we're like that David Lynch was
giving too much credit to David Lynch.
Yeah, we're giving too much credit to David Lynch.
I feel like it's the opposite.
But it's the opposite because we're saying David Lynch doesn't, really talk about his influences. So we're kind of showing how he cribs from people.
And which is fine and it's awesome and everyone does, Scorsese, but he just has never talked about it. So sometimes I think it's interesting to discover
So he's really upset. He or she is very upset. But I have to say that
I know where you're coming from.
Yes.
So,
right?
Yeah. You're
I know where you're coming from. You're totally right. You
He's getting
a point.
We don't need any.
We hear you.
We
hear
you.
So,
we
see you. We hear you.
Yeah.
You're very beautiful.
Because Lynch loves this film. This is a big influence on him, Mon Oncle. It's so if you want to go that route, hey, you might put my
thumb. Don't really need opportunities to talk about him. Right?
Thumb on the scale for that one. Yeah. I have a feeling the other ones are going to really get the big, it's going to be Touch of Evil and Vertigo, but I love to be proven wrong. Let's see what you guys want to do.
Hidden Fortress?
Maybe. Could be. I just have a feeling. So that's what we're going to do for 1958. Head on over to the One Fucking Hour Instagram story right now if you're watching or listening to this in the first 24 hours of the program. And vote. Let's see what you guys think, and we'll do it. We will fucking do it.
Yeah.
All right, and real quick, what's your one fucking minute on the Oscars, Raym? How'd you feel?
I mean, I think there was a lot of justice there, actually.
Justice.
Yeah.
Are you speaking about specifically one person?
I think it was well rounded. One battle, one for Best Picture. I was happy about that.
Thank you, God. Yeah.
Coogler got some of his flowers. The cinematographer got some of her flowers. But then P.T. Anderson won Best Director, which I thought is very well deserved, especially after all these years. So that felt like some justice. And then actor-wise, Timothy was humbled. And I think that needed to happen. And so most of the autopsies are kind of like about what went wrong with Timmy. How the voters
Safdie
were just really...
and Timmy together.
We got both of those. We got the double whammy.
Yeah.
It didn't help Timmy. You know, it didn't help. No. But, you know, people thought he was really fucking obnoxious, and they were kind of just like not feeling it.
And you know, just for the record, you know, if you didn't listen to our 2025 film roundup episode we did, it's in the archives. But, you know, we liked Marty Supreme. You know,
and I thought his performance was great.
I thought he was great. I think
but the Oscars it's a personality contest. It's a shaking hands, kissing babies.
It is.
Like, do you have goodwill? It's like, it's, you know, there's so many dynamics at play.
Thinking like political about it, like we'll give this one to this one.
Yeah.
And we'll do this one here,
it's
and
not,
you know, like,
it's not something that's based purely on merits, unfortunately. But that's what's funny and absurd
like
and
the Golden
dumb
Globes.
about
it. All merit.
All merit. No, 100%. But that's what makes the whole thing ridiculous and dumb
and fun.
And
it's silly
fun and silly.
And that's why it's like a horse race thing that's fun, because it's not a 1 to whatever ratio.
It's totally.
It's about like, oh my God, he wasn't humble enough. He was too humble. He's just the right, perfect humble. Like he doesn't. He's not too thirsty. He doesn't need it. And it's like that's a balancing act. These fucking crazy actors are having to.
Well, it's like there's sort of a wrestling term that's out there where like you can work yourself into a shoot, you know, type of thing where, you know, Timothy is kind of either / cosplaying or he is Marty Supreme. And so he kind of became that character.
Right.
And I think it is kind of that sort of like Gen Z, like, you know, the hustle man, like print the money, you know, sort of like
the
aesthetic.
old Academy voters are not.
They're not into
that vibe.
No, they're not into that. And
well,
it's
too early. It's too soon too for him to.
Well,
win,
they think that too. Yeah. That's another thing. But you know, Mikey Madison won for Honora. You know, last year.
She played that really well.
So just like.
She played that season beautifully.
I know.
Well, and it's more appropriate that Marty loses anyway, because that's what the movie is.
Right. Yeah. There you go. It's the ultimate.
So it was interesting. But the whole conversation is kind of about like Timothy's like career trajectory at this point and
it'll be
flying too close to the sun and the Kardashian thing. And, you know, it also, I think like the film promotion colliding with his Oscar campaign, that did great for the movie. Like the movie made a ton of money. The campaign was awesome for the movie, and then it was a little too close to
overstayed
his
its welcome too.
And then he realized that it was like, ooh, shit, I gotta tone it down. Too late. It was too late.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Michael B was kind of like the underdog, humble guy. Wasn't out there doing every single thing. People were just like, nice guy, we appreciate him, and good for him.
Let's give it to him, because you could see them like getting up to the voting booth and just looking at that Timothy Chalamet box and just being like, it's not time.
Well, I think the stories about Josh from Good Time coming out like you know 3 weeks ago or something, a month ago.
Nothing was helping the chances. It was like as time went on, you know, and then Michael B. Jordan was keeping a low profile. Sinners got like a late stage kind of enthusiasm bump. SAG happened, which was a big surprise. Michael B. won and was actually genuinely surprised. People were really charmed by his speech because he was genuinely surprised and very grateful. And so people who were still voting during that were like,
and it's like again, to just use a wrestling analogy, it's like Michael B. the babyface in this situation where Timothy Chalamet really was the heel. And
he became the Oscar villain.
He became the Oscar heel.
There's an Oscar villain.
Yep.
Bradley Cooper was the Oscar villain for Maestro.
Wait.
And he got, I mean, he got hardcore Oscar villain backlash for that.
He did.
Because it appeared that he was trying
to orchestrate.
So hard.
Or just
to, there you go. And to kind of be Mr. Self-serious and to be when you're telling people like, I am a genius and I'm an auteur and I deserve this.
Yep.
They don't want to give it to you.
They don't want that.
Yeah.
Paul Thomas Anderson's a good example too. Humble the whole time.
Never whined about it, you know, just always been, you know.
Yep.
And so, so I think in a world that's, you know, like with the Oscars, you know, where it was like, oh my God, when Everything Everywhere All at Once won, like
that was the worst,
the darkest day in film history.
Just the depression
or like the Green Books or the whatever.
Yeah, just
to have in the last 2 years One Battle being recognized and also Honora being recognized.
Yeah,
It's pretty, I'll take it.
It's been a long time since I liked the Best Picture.
I know.
Yeah, it's true.
You have to go all the way back to like The English Patient.
That's one of your favorites.
Shakespeare in Love.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we got to also mention that the other interesting story about the tie, that one of our friend and contributor Taylor. She worked on the film that got the tie.
Two strangers exchanging.
That's wild.
Two strangers exchanging saliva. Yeah, tie.
Yes.
Yeah. So shout out to Taylor. Congratulations.
Yep.
And a Bette Midler was.
Not
Bette Midler.
Barbara.
Sorry. Fuck. Edit that out. She. Fuck, dude. That was gnarly.
Wild. That was wild.
That was the craziest moment of the whole thing. That was the Will Smith.
The sound mixing was insane. Oh, also Michael B. Jordan thanked Will Smith.
Oh.
And that was amazing. That moment was amazing. That was
crazy. Yeah.
And I totally get it. He was like, oh, the people who came before me, Sidney Poitier.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah, and then
it's like
Denzel, and then he's like, and Will Smith, and we were all like,
I know.
Oh my God, get his name out of your mouth.
Get his name out of your mouth. Nice. All right. Yeah.
Anyway, there you go.
There you go. That's the Oscars. I think
we know Oscars don't mean anything, and they're really stupid.
No, we love it though.
I love them.
We love them.
I love them.
But
I didn't watch them.
And Marcus.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. But it was okay. It was okay. It was an okay year. I think I'm happy. But look, but we all know, and I know you're a big proponent of this, Rémy, that Jesse Plemons in a sane world.
In a sane world, he would have
Jesse Plemons probably should have won Best Actor.
Yeah. I think that was like the most egregious snub that's happened in a long time.
If it's all about like the actual skill, if you're actually going to measure acting as a skill, that performance.
Plemons and Begonio.
That movie wasn't the right level for Best Actor, though.
But it got nominated for Best Picture.
It did, yeah. It just got snubbed by the Brazilian. It got
nominated for a lot because she got Best Actress. She got nominated for Best Actress.
She did.
For Begonia,
Emma Stone.
And it was just the secret agent guy was it was a crowded race.
It was a crowded race, yeah.
So someone had to go and
Jesse went.
They sacrificed Jesse.
All right, well, there you go, everybody. That's the Oscars. All right, Kubrick, you got some voting to do.
Yep.
You got some Patreon signing up to do. There's a new bonus episode.
You got to leave a comment. You got to like,
subscribe to the channel. You got to do that.
So get your homework done.
Yep.
Right away.
Yeah, get it done early.
Get it done right away. And you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah,
later.
Just get it all done right now. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. We will see you next week for the film that you choose. I'm very excited to see what you pick. Looking forward to
I'm
it.
Excited.
All right, everybody.
Decide.
All right, take care, everybody. See you later. And no, fuck. We can't leave you without your Momen of Zen. All right, there you go. All right, take care. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Jimmy and I had bought Paths of Glory. I did a screenplay with Jim Thompson and Calder Willingham, and nobody wanted to do it. It was turned down by every company until our agent, Ronnie Lubin, Lubin, interested Kirk Douglas in the project. And through Kirk's interest, United Artists put up the money on the basis of it being done for a very low budget in Europe. The picture was a moderate success, but it was nothing to create opportunities for us because of big grosses or profits. The reviews on it were very good. Many reviews were superlative, and from that point of view, it was an enormous success. The greatest virtue of the film was that I met my wife, Christiana, who was an actress. I was watching a television broadcast, looking for an actress, actually watching someone else, and saw her, and got in touch with her agent. She came into the studio, we met, I began dating her, and we subsequently got married a year later.
Motherfucking goddamn orange peel beef.
That was wicked, man.